Welcome back to Hotchkiss Performance. This is part 2 of the leather guide video. If you haven't watched part 1, I will link it in the description below because it makes sense to watch that first before watching the second part, obviously, as that explains a lot about leather and what leather actually is, which does lead on to the cleaning processes, and it explains why we have to use specific products and techniques, which we will show in this video. So if you haven't already, go and watch part 1 and we'll start the second part now. Okay, so before any cleaning processes begin, we do have to actually assess the leather for any damage and soiling, because if the leather is already damaged very heavily, there isn't much point in cleaning the surface unless there are repairs that are going to commence. So what I would do is look at the leather. If you can clearly see, because a lot of the driver's seat bolster usually goes first, because that's constantly be getting knocked when the driver gets in and out. So that will be the driver's seat, obviously, just like any vehicle, will have the most wear on it. So I would check that and just make sure you aren't just wasting your time basically cleaning that seat if it is just heavily damaged, because cleaning isn't going to rectify it in any way. People probably look at these leather seats, attempt to clean them, and expect these products to work miracles. They're not designed for that purpose, and obviously you can't clean damage. So it might look dirty on the surface of the leather, but that isn't dirt, that is purely just where the leather has broken down and deteriorated, and it is in the stage of repair. Okay, so you've assessed the leather for damage and the level of soiling, if it's just light, moderate or heavy soiling, and we're basing this video on if this leather hasn't been cleaned before. So it's after a really good deep clean, which you'd normally do once or twice a year on black leather, because cream leather obviously does show up more dirt, so you're going to need to clean that more regularly. So I'll go through the products that I personally use, and then I'll explain why you shouldn't use all-purpose cleaner, which 90% of people seem to use. Don't get mad. So the products that I've always used are a company called Leather Training and Technical, or LTT, and these have been around forever. My dad, he started out as a valeter many years ago. He's not that old, but he started out as a valeter, and these were around when he was valeting in his day, and he also then went on to leather repair and recolour, etc. So, and he used these products, which shows the pedigree of the company, because they've been going so long, and even now they still make top quality products, always improving, and developing their products to be the best that they can be on leather. The director of the company, known as Judy, is an absolute leather guru, and anything that she doesn't know about leather just isn't worth knowing. So I do trust her knowledge, her expertise in the leather industry, as well as the products that her company do, manufacture. The beauty with these products is that that they are going to be safe on leather, and they're not going to damage it in any way, because that is what you find with a lot of these all-purpose cleaners that aren't actually meant for leather. You just don't know if they're safe, and majority of the time they aren't, but people just go ahead with it because they think, well, it cleans plastic, so it'll clean leather. And obviously leather is quite a delicate material, so you have got to look after it using only the best products. So this is called deep clean. This is for kind of moderate to heavy soiling on vehicles. They also do a higher grade cleaner called Ultra Deep Clean, and I will link all these in the description below, so you can go and have a look at their website, you know, have a browse, because they don't just do auto leather products, they also do products for leather sofas and furniture and things like that. So go and have a look, you know, have a browse and see what you think. So I've got the deep clean, and to be honest, I've never actually needed the ultra deep clean, because this stuff is brilliant. You know, it does cut through the really heavy dirt. So you've got that. You can get it in different quantities, depending on how much you're going to need. So obviously that's in a liquid form, but you can actually get this foaming bottle, again from LTT, and this just is how the product should be applied, basically. And I'll explain a bit of the differences between liquid forms and foam later on in the video, so I'll just briefly cover this and the products that we're using. So if I just show you what I mean by a foaming bottle, I'll just show you on my glove here, because you don't really want to be getting this stuff on your hands. You know, it is a cleaner at the end of the day. So obviously this, as you can see there, can you see it's kind of clinging and not just dripping straight off? You know, it runs down very nice and kind of covers a large surface area. Whereas a liquid based cleaner isn't going to cling as long, it's going to run off, you know, a lot quicker than this will. So foam is by far a more effective method of cleaning leather. So that's why you need a foaming bottle with these products, because they are a liquid form, but these bottles obviously create the foaming action that will make it 10 times easier to clean your leather. And then we've also got just a leather cleaning brush, standard brush. You know, these are quite soft, they're not really aggressive, because you don't want to be using, you know, what's designed to scrub carpets with, because that will wear away that surface coat on your leather, which obviously we don't want. So this one's made by Colour Lock, and again I'll link in the description below where you can purchase. That's just a air freshener, auto leather aroma, the best smelling leather air freshener in the world, if you ask me. I just like to put that into customers' cars once I've cleaned the leather, give it a quick squirt with this, and it just brings that kind of new fresh scent back. So really recommend that product, but we don't need that for cleaning. And then all you're going to need is just a short nap microfiber, and once you've cleaned it with the foam, obviously just to mop the excess foam up that has lifted all the dirt off the surface. So that is pretty much all you're going to need to clean, give your vehicle a deep clean once or twice a year. So I'll just show you on the whiteboard why we shouldn't use all-purpose cleaner. Okay, so back to the whiteboard. So the first point I need to make is this: that leather has around a 20% moisture content. We need to make note of this, and this is very important, so we need to keep this in mind when we're cleaning it, because leather actually has the ability to release and absorb moisture, even through, you know, you've got your clear coat, the screen print, and then your leather. So moisture can pass all the way through. So we don't want to dry the leather out, and we don't want to over wet it. So with that in mind, we will start with what not to use. And that is this stuff. This is just an example. This is G101. It is an all-purpose cleaner. But I have watched so many videos on this subject, and nearly everyone that I've watched says this is safe to use on leather. It is definitely not. It's not been designed to use on leather, to be used on leather. So when people say that you can use this, they're talking absolute bollocks. So why shouldn't we use all-purpose cleaner? Well, as we can see here, which I'll just explain, all-purpose cleaner, or APC as it's known for short, you've obviously got your cross-section of leather here. So the black section is your leather, then you've got the printed grain coat, which we explained in part 1, and then you've got your clear coat. Well, all-purpose cleaner actually breaks down this surface coat on top of the leather. So as you can see here, again with my amazing drawings, the clear coat has been worn away, starting to go there, and it's actually broke through, and we're now onto the bare leather basically. That's not good, because now your leather has no protection, no surface coat to help protect it and maintain it. But all-purpose cleaner does break down this surface, because it is quite even the non-caustic chemicals, they're designed to break down heavy dirt, mainly for use on plastics or fabric. But leather is quite a delicate material. You know, the clear coat isn't as, you know, rock solid as your clear coat on your paint. So obviously the surface coat will break down using APC, which will obviously reach to the leather. So every time you clean it after that, it's going straight onto the leather. An all-purpose cleaner will actually dry the leather out, and then it'll become really rock solid, and it will become brittle, and it can crack and snap, and that's where you get the damage that you see a lot of leather that looks like dirt, but it's cracked, and that is actually damage. So all-purpose cleaner, don't even think about it when you're cleaning leather. And like I say, there's so many other videos on YouTube that I've watched, and people probably watch and think, well, they're using it, so I can. If you want to use it, I can't tell you not to. I'm just giving my advice and the knowledge that I've gained from research and asking industry professionals about leather. So I just wouldn't recommend all-purpose cleaner for leather. You can use it on other things, but with leather we do need specific products like the leather training and technical range, which we covered at the start of the video. So that out of the way, let's just forget all-purpose cleaners now, because it does stress me out, because I don't want people going and damaging their leather. Because leather is a luxury, it's not a cheap material to have in your car. You want to look after it, you want to keep it looking, you're fresh. So okay, that's covered. So when would you clean it? When you look at the leather, you can't, sometimes it's difficult to tell if you're not sure when it's actually dirty. Basically, leather is naturally a very matte or satin finish. A lot of people don't realise this, and they think that glossy, nice sheen that they've got on their leather, that's what it should look like. It actually isn't. That is actually dirt, believe it or not. And the reason that happens is, again, you've got your leather cross section, this is your clear coat. Our body does contain, the skin has natural oils in it, and obviously you touch it like your steering wheel, your gear stick, the leather seats in your cars, if you've got kids or yourself, you're touching, you're getting in it, you're climbing inside of it. You know, your arms and your hands are touching this leather. And even the dirt that's on your clothes and the oils that are on your clothes. This line here is actually trying to represent those body oils which sit on top of the clear coat on the leather. So that almost acts as basically a sticky surface now. It's not clean because, you know, oil will attract dirt. So as you can see, these little sections of dirt are now stuck to that surface of oil. Now, going back to paint, to create a shine on clear coat we have to polish it, don't we? Usually with abrasives, abrasive polish. So abrasion kind of wears off that top layer of clear coat that's oxidised and it's got contamination in it. So you're wearing it down to bring back a fresh, nice fresh section. So you're using abrasives to create a shine. Same thing with leather. All these contaminants that are on top of the leather that are stuck to that oil and grease and all that grime, it's moving backwards and forwards every time you get inside. You know, imagine the motion getting inside a vehicle. It's moving all that contamination across the leather constantly over weeks, months, years. So you're effectively polishing the top coat, the clear coat on top of the leather. So it gives it that shine look. So that isn't actually clean. That's the abrasives, the abrasive dirt and grime and grease and horrible stuff that's basically creating that nice, lovely sheen that you see. And you might think, oh, that looks lovely and shiny. That's actually dirt, so not the best. So, to get rid of this dirt, we have to use the correct products, which I've shown. And we'll just go into a overlay video of the technique to actually clean the leather. Just briefly coming back to this, I'll explain the difference between a foaming cleaner using the foaming bottle and just a standard liquid cleaner, because majority of products are liquid based and aren't used in a foaming, through a foaming trigger or a foaming bottle. So as you can see, foam will actually encapsulate that dirt inside the foam and lifts it and kind of suspends it off the surface. So then as soon as you wipe that with a microfiber towel, it will scoop the product up and you've removed that surface contamination. With a liquid based cleaner, it will only kind of create a very small layer of liquid which will kind of just sit underneath the dirt and move it around, because it's acting like lubrication basically. Whereas foam's got so much surface area to kind of lift it all off the surface. Liquid won't do that. So that is why foam is just far more effective as a cleaner than liquid. And again, this is actually looking like down onto a section of leather. As you can see, the foam creates a large surface area. So as that foam kind of moves down, it will catch all of the dirt particles and the grease and the grime inside that foam and lift it as it runs down the leather. Just like similar principle to snow foam does when you snow foam in your car. This is like a sin with leather, because liquid based cleaners, if you can imagine, when you spray liquid onto a surface, it runs, which obviously isn't a bad thing on a lot of surfaces, because you want it to cover a specific surface. And even with the, you know, you've got your trigger sprayers that atomise the product, you are still going to get kind of drops of the liquid, and this actually bleaches, because these lines will actually cause bleach marks down the leather. So you can basically see where you've sprayed the product onto the leather and it's run, and you'll see the run marks, and those are a pain to get rid of, and sometimes you can't, because the liquid is that highly concentrated, because it's in liquid form, that the amount of product that sat on that run has been a lot heavily concentrated, whereas foam dilutes it so much, like there's just enough product in it to work without over concentrating it, whereas liquid is quite heavily concentrated, so you will actually get runs and bleach marks, as it's known. And it doesn't always, as you can see, trying to illustrate, liquid won't always pick up every bit of dirt, because it will only lift to a degree or touch the dirt where the liquid runs, whereas obviously foam, much bigger surface area, can pick up more dirt. So foam is just by far a more effective method to cleaning leather, because these bleach marks, you know, you're in trouble if you've got them, because they really do stain the leather and it just looks really crap, basically. You can see where it's been, someone sprayed it on, it's run down, and it just looks a mess. So use foam, not liquid, because it just makes it easier for you. It's a lot safer, and to be honest, it's a lot quicker, because you're covering so much more surface area with foam than you ever would with liquid. So that's the difference between foam and liquid regarding leather cleaning. Now, just going back to the moisture content within the leather, we do have to balance this, and we want the leather to stay roughly a 20% moisture content. Obviously we can't measure this, it's just you know, that's the recommended kind of moisture content that needs to be within the leather to keep it subtle enough, you know, so it doesn't dry out and become brittle and crack. And you don't want to over wet it, because the fibres can kind of distort and then not go back into the original shape and form. With the water-based products that the LTT range offer, they can actually pass through the clear coat and into the leather, and it will come back out, because this pigment coated leather is designed to, don't say breathe, because it's not a living thing, but it releases and absorbs product, basically. So the water-based products will be able to absorb into the leather, but the leather will also be able to kind of reject what it doesn't need, so you're not using too much, it's not getting over wet. And again, with the foam, with using the foaming bottle, you're not over wetting, because it's not a concentrated amount of liquid. It is quite, the foam has got air in it, so allows it to pass through the clear coating into the leather very easily and efficiently. So that's why we do need the correct products and not all-purpose cleaner. So never use all-purpose cleaner. Okay, so now we move on to the fun part of the video. So as you can see, we'll simply spray the foam onto the leather surface and just allow it to sit and dwell for a few seconds to allow the foam to pick up the dirt, and then we will gently agitate without scrubbing too aggressively, as we don't want to damage that clear coat finish on the leather. Also remembering the seams, because the seams of the seat will accumulate the most dirt. And then we'd simply grab our microfiber towel and mop up any excess product, bringing along the dirt with it. Again, remembering to wipe down the seams, as the dirt can sometimes run into the seam of the leather. And as you can see on the cloth there, we have accumulated quite a bit of dirt. And here I just wanted to show you the difference between a nice satin clean finish and then the body oils and the dirt, showing you that horrible greasy gloss finish on the leather. This seat was particularly bad as it was the driver's seat, and as you can see there's quite a substantial difference between the satin finish and the gloss finish. I did just want to briefly show you this because this was the first pass with the product, as this leather hadn't been cleaned before. And as you can see, that foam is stuck solid. It isn't moving down the leather because it's actually stuck to all of that grease and grime and body oil. So we went to clean it as normal. And then this is actually the second pass with the product. And as you can see, the foam is actually starting to glide across that leather surface, showing that the body oil contamination isn't as heavy. Okay, so we've cleaned this surface now. As you can see, it's a lovely satin finish and not a gloss finish. However, this is the section that gathers the most dirt and accumulates all of that grease and dirt. Trying to show you here, pulling the seam apart. So you would apply the product inside this seam, just as you would with the standard leather surface, and this just allows the foam to encapsulate all that dirt and grime that's accumulated inside the leather seam, and then you just gently massage with your fingers to allow the product to work. And then we would grab a foam swab, and these come in very handy in all areas of detailing, so I will leave a link in the description below where you can actually purchase these. I just find it easier to use one of these in such a kind of deep area of the seat than trying to get in there with a small brush. So you would keep working the product in, make sure you're getting really inside that area, pulling the seam apart with your fingers as you agitate that dirt. I do like to always go over with a second pass because this seat hasn't been cleaned for so long that it was particularly bad, so just like to go across again to make sure I haven't missed any of the dirt that has accumulated over years of neglect. And then, as you would previously, you just mop up any excess product, bringing along the dirt into the cloth, making sure again to pull apart the seam with your fingers to make sure you don't miss any areas. So now we can see all the dirt has been lifted from the seam. It's always good to check your work just to make sure there isn't anything you've missed. Job's a good one. So thank you very much for watching this video. This is part 2 of the leather cleaning guide, and in part 3 I'll be covering leather protection, how to protect your leather, what to use, and also the difference between a leather conditioner and a leather protector, because there are a lot of misconceptions surrounding these leather conditioners, and I'm going to explain what these actually are and what they do to your leather. So that will be coming for part 3. If you've come to this video after part 1, thank you for watching that part as well. I will leave a link in the description to part 1 if you've just come across part 2 and haven't watched part 1 yet. So as always guys, please leave a like, it does really help us. You know, we love to hear from you in the detailing community, what you think to these videos and your input. You know, if there's anything else you might understand about leather that we might particularly not. So, you know, it's really interesting for us to see your comments and respond and, you know, get talking. It's everyone's interested in this material, as obviously you wouldn't be watching, so please subscribe as well, and I'll see you in part 3. Cheers.